Welcome to Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance, where we uncover the powerful truth about your beginnings and how they've shaped your entire life. I'm Shannon O'Flaherty, and in this show, we are not just exploring your birth, we are dismantling the chains of generational trauma. We're diving into the core of who you are, peeling back layers of inherited beliefs and behaviors that have held you back for far too long. This isn't just about understanding your past. It is about reclaiming your future. Get ready to break free. This is Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance, and your transformation starts now. Hi, welcome. I'm Shannon O'Flaherty. Welcome to Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance. And it's so cool that we're airing today on 11/11 because this day is all about synchronicity, alignment, and awakening. So it's just as well that we're talking to my dear old friend, Steve Parker. We go back maybe 20 years, I guess, and we met in Theta Healing class all those years ago and have done deep work together and watched each other grow and evolve over all of these years. And in this episode, Steve unveils the magnetic heart activation, which is a powerful process to heal faster, release victim patterns, and reconnect to source. And you're going to learn how your heart's energy field holds the key to emotional healing, spiritual awakening, and lasting transformation. Stephen Roy Parker, is a Canadian-American Theta Healing teacher, travel writer, and promoter of the philosophy of personal growth, healing, and well-being of the whole person in all areas of life: mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual. He has been practicing meditation for over 35 years and professionally Theta Healing for over 20 years. He is one of the first international Theta Healing teachers and is from the first group of DNA 3 students of Theta Healing founder Vianna Steibel. He has taught all over the world, and only some of the countries where he worked and held seminars are in the USA, Mexico, Canada, Slovenia, Russia, Norway, Thailand, Croatia, Netherlands, Serbia, Sweden, Bosnia, and Herzegovina. The specificity of all of his lectures, workshops, treatments, and courses is immediacy, ease of teaching, a lot of humor, and relaxation, and most importantly, great knowledge and expertise that Steve selflessly shares with all of his participants. He holds a master's degree in Theta Healing and a certificate of science in Theta Healing. Master and certificate of science, Theta Healing. His image and style, which he has built up over the years, is one where, with a relaxed and simple approach, we can make deep and significant changes in the person's consciousness and life in a short time. That's the philosophy behind his whole approach. Theta Center from Croatia has been successfully cooperating with Steve since 2014, organizing various events and activities of importance to the Theta Healing community. So, Steve, I'm so glad and honored and happy that you're here with me today. So, tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got to this perfect place now. And please start at the very beginning.
Well, boy, it all started in my mother's womb. Just kidding.
Guy. It started with your ancestors, but we'll
Yeah, my
start.
ancestors millennia ago. Um, so I remember we had a conversation about this. Now I'm trying to remember everything we talked about. But I started with I've been in the interesting in the whole kind of idea of alternative healing and consciousness development, and the way I prefer to call it, the refinement of consciousness. For since I was a teenager, I mean, I used to read all of the books as a teenager. I was kind of the black sheep of the family in terms of everyone else was normal except for me. Um,
Normal.
yeah, normal. I mean, I remember a long, long time ago, long before I found the theta healing. I was still living in Edmonton, and I discovered Stuart Wilde, the UK kind of metaphysician. I loved him. He was wonderful, and I read almost all of his books. But over time, I kind of found myself falling into different situations that kind of forced me to need to develop myself. I don't know if I like that word exactly, but to kind of heal things that were from the past that were kind of blocking me from having relationships, having happiness, and all that kind of stuff.
So
Um,
who were your parents?
my parents, yes, my parents were lovely people. I don't want to, when I talk about my parents, I don't want to sound disrespectful in any way because they were human beings just like all of us, and they had their issues. Really kind, generous people, good intentions all the time. I never received any beatings or stuff like that. However, just like all of us, we all kind of choose the parents we need to have in order to deal with certain issues in our life. And one of the things that my mother would lovingly do was both directly and kind of in sub communication ways inform me that I should always take care of other people first.
Wow.
Um, I remember one time I was a teenager, I was 17, I think, something like that. And I was reading Ayn Rand, actually, the objectivist, the kind of ultra capitalist, which was interesting to me at the time. And one of her books was called the virtue of selfishness.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning of that book, there's a little like one page. It says your first duty is to make yourself happy.
That's right.
They're like, oh, that's the coolest thing ever.
Mhm.
Mom, listen to this. Your first duty is to make yourself happy. And God bless her, the moment I said that without missing a beat, well, what about other people? Aren't you supposed to make them happy? And I remember this feeling of deflation, just being completely deflated and like shame and oh, I've screwed up and I'm wrong and blah blah blah. I shouldn't be selfish, whatever that means. So
Wow.
that was kind of one of several kind of primary moments in my life with her that
You
kind
know,
of set the tone.
it's a really important point to say that even if you had completely loving and wonderful parents, with great intentions, they can
Yeah,
still cause you trauma if you're not being received fundamentally for who you are. And when we're little kids, our parents are still trying to get to know who we are, just as we are trying to not forget who we are,
hmm,
right? So if your parents have a different value system than what you fundamentally know or remember or are bringing through to this life, the best parents in the world can still traumatize you. So people,
absolutely.
they don't want to be hating on their mothers and fathers, but essentially, it's not about hating our parents. It's about owning the wounding from a different perspective. That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly. I agree
Yeah.
100%. Um,
So that's a real message of sacrifice, then.
it's yeah, that's the ultimate kind of value for
Hmm.
her.
Hmm.
And I've had other members, another member of my direct family, having a conversation with this guy, saying who's a who again is a really fine person, a kind of a born again Christian type, very kind of fundamentalist Protestant religion, and we were talking about something, I forget the original conversation, but at one point he says, but the highest value is self-sacrifice.
Wow.
And that was so deeply ingrained in us that it kind of created certain imbalances in our behaviors and our thinking and our feelings and stuff like that.
Well, look, Jesus died on the cross, right?
Yeah.
So
Why
it's
haven't
been
you done
drummed
what's
into everybody
right,
at
right.
some level.
Yeah.
Uh,
Why haven't you done that yet? What's wrong with you?
yeah, really. So, um, what did that create for you then in terms of your feelings about yourself, or how did that seep into your being?
Um, it made part of it is because of these experiences. Part of it is because of my natural kind of inner matrix. Um, you know, it for me in my particular kind of style of existing that was born with, it was kind of it created an energy of of lack of self worth.
Hmm.
It created an energy of certainly lack of confidence. It created, or I created through that, I should say that that's probably more correct. I created through that a way of being that's very passive and reactive. In fact, I was kind of doing some inner work on myself in the last couple of days with that exact kind of issue.
Hmm.
And it caused me to never, and you know what it did? It also caused me to self sabotage things.
Hmm.
You know, I'd had various different businesses before going into this particular, you know, way of living with alternative healing and meditation and blah blah blah. And no matter what I did, I would sabotage jobs. I would sabotage and keep myself from kind of progressing within the company structure that and the possibilities of advancement and so forth.
Hmm.
I'm sure you remember I had that pizza delivery company we talked about many years ago in Edmonton before I got into healing, and I absolutely brilliantly self-sabotaged that business. So I
It's
would do
because
the hmm?
you probably couldn't really fundamentally trust what you knew because you were given another message. So when we as little children
Yes.
don't can't trust what we know because we have to believe our parents because we need them to survive,
Yeah,
then we're doubting ourselves all the time, and this creates that sabotage loop, doesn't it?
that's exactly correct.
Hmm.
This kind of lack of self-trust, this lack of belief in what we know, even in, and we know it, but we still kind of second guess ourselves and like somebody else must be right. If they're
Yeah.
within 3 feet of me, they must have the right answer, not me.
Which
And
also could send you into the please others loop,
please others, yeah, please
um,
others. Oh, that was a good one. It's
lack
still
of
still kind of
boundary.
struggle a little bit with that one. But
But you're so pleasing.
you know, yeah, that's how you get loved, isn't it? Oh yeah, right.
Well, there's many ways. So how did that play out for you in terms of what happened after you must have left home at some point in time?
Um, well, yeah, I left home. I went to college, University of Alberta, and um, because of my various little dysfunctions and inconsistencies in personality, you know, I failed 3 years in a row at the business school. Got
Wow.
finally the third year that I got kicked out. I couldn't talk my way back in again, and so I went on to do other work and different jobs and stuff, and it was okay. I mean, I was a good employee generally, but I still never really allowed myself to kind of go beyond that. I do recognize even more recently how emotionally immature it left me
Hmm.
without realizing it. And it left me emotionally immature, thinking that I was very mature, which was not the case. It allowed me to have a certain kind of vanity to balance out the lack of self worth, if that makes any sense.
Well, to me, it makes perfect sense. I mean, remember when we met each other, we avoided each other for 2 weeks in this 3 week course because we
Yeah.
were mirroring each other's shadow stuff so much. And
Oh,
then one day we were like, oh God, okay, let's be brave enough to work together. And we managed to do really deep work because
yeah.
we knew each other's shadow stuff, so we wouldn't let each other get away with anything.
Yeah,
So
that was brilliant. That was really
yeah,
brilliant. Yeah. Couldn't have been planned better.
thank you. So what kind of relationships did you have?
Oh, horrible ones. Oh, my favorite relationship, my best teacher ever was this woman that I moved from Canada to Los Angeles for, who turned out to be a sociopath.
Wow.
Um, yeah, just best teacher ever. My God. Um, you know, the way I sometimes describe myself in those moments, it was the most extreme version of the pathetic version of myself where I was literally a violin looking for somebody to play me. Like
Wow.
it was just remarkable, and how much denial I had right from the beginning about what's really going on, and red flags were being thrown at me in handfuls, and I just, oh no, no,
Fun
no.
to just ignore those red flags.
Oh God, yes. Yes, thank you.
For our listening audience, everybody gets red flags, and secretly, you always know when you have a red flag. So, like, you can waste a lot of time and ignore them, like Steve and I did for years and years, or you
Hmm.
can just learn from us and pay attention to the slightest red flag because it's there for a reason. You're not making it up. Look
Yeah,
into it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. So my relationships were ones mostly of me being needy and people taking that neediness and taking advantage of it, basically.
Mhm. Yeah.
The biggest example was that one woman I just spoke about. Um, for some reason, occasionally I would have moments of clarity and deal with things in myself on an emotional level and realize, wait a minute, I'm being an idiot and I need to change this, and would change it. And it was so interesting that, for example, that relationship crashed eventually, and I got out finally. And the next relationship that I created had all of the things I hadn't dealt with yet, but did not have any of the things I did deal with. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah,
Like
interesting. Well,
it
yeah.
was it was after, and then that eventually dissolved over several years as well. It took a while, but afterwards I realized, oh my God, the things I directly addressed and dealt with consciously were gone. But the other stuff that I didn't even recognize was dysfunction was
Yeah.
a flaming like a giant light in the sky, trying to kind of point the way.
It's a
So
perfect example of if you do the healing work and face the big monster under the bed, face the shadow parts, find out what the subconscious beliefs are, what
yeah,
is holding you back, what is it really about, not what it seems to be about, but
yeah,
what's really going on. That's healing. And if you heal that, these patterns don't repeat. There's always stuff in the shadow that comes up to challenge us and trigger us that makes us have to look at stuff. And if you can look at your shadow and the triggers as gifts, because like that's the universe saying, hey, sweetheart, you've still got a little bit of work to do here. Look at this. And like that's great. So
Hmm.
yeah. So what happened? What happened next? When did you
What happened?
discover theta healing?
How did I get into theta healing? Oh, that was so interesting. I had been married for several years, um, and this was the following. Actually, the marriage was the following relationship from the sociopath.
Mhm.
And again, the ex-wife, lovely, lovely human being. There's no question about that. Again, not trying to diss her in any way.
Good.
Um, I lived in Los Angeles. We had a dog walking business,
Yes, that's right.
and it had been raining like crazy. And there was floods, and it was horrible. And it's really hard to do a dog walking business when it's like pouring rain that much. But we do doing it, and after about a week, the rain stopped. And my ex-wife says, "Oh, look, the sky is blue." You know, thank God the sky is blue. We're going to have a life again. But I thought that was the stupidest thing I'd ever heard anybody say. And I made sure I communicated how stupid a thing to say that was. And you know me well enough that that is not my personality, to be so direct and saying that something's
No, no,
ridiculous and stupid. It's just not
it's
me.
not.
And I had turned into a jerk for 2 or 3 days. And finally, I realized, well, wait a minute, she's doing nothing wrong here. There's something in me. And this was before I had done much inner work. I'd done some inner work, but I had I had met a friend, and she had done the theta healing stuff, and she had told me about it, and because I couldn't afford to do any of these classes, and she was taking everything that came to Los Angeles, so every time she'd take a class, I'd buy her coffee and ask her questions for 3 hours and get as much out of it as I could. And she talked about theta healing months earlier, and I did something unusual. I started calling some of my friends saying, "Listen, I'm screwed up. I need help," which was unusual for me to actually admit I need help. That
Hmm.
was another miracle. And she was one of the people that I talked to, and she says, "Well, listen, remember that theta healing stuff I told you about? Come over, we'll do this thing, and then I'll work on you." Okay. And so, because of who she was, she had credibility in my mind. She
Hmm.
wasn't a weirdo. She was like she had a degree in computing science from Stanford and this kind of real world stuff, quote unquote. Brilliant lady. So I went over and we started talking and having conversation. And long story short, we discovered that I have an unconscious belief that from my relationship with my little sister, that it's not safe for me to accept the love of a good woman. My
Wow.
sister, my sister's 2 years younger than me. I could not win an argument growing up with her to save my life. She could just destroy me verbally every time. And of course, she became a lawyer. So, of course, I could never win an argument with a 7-year-old lawyer. And this was the belief: it's not safe to accept the love of a good woman. And so she used the technique to have that released, which I didn't understand what the hell that meant. But I said, okay. And again, long story short, so that session was like 15 minutes. We found the belief, we changed it. I went home. I woke up the next day and I realized, wait a minute, I'm not angry like I've been for the last 10 days. And not only that, it feels to me, this was the more important part for me in my weird brain, it feels to me as if it never happened. It's like the anger had been a dream. That's how it felt. Like,
Yeah.
holy cow, I need to learn how to do this. And the founder of Theta Healing Via Stable was coming to Los Angeles a month or two later, and so I signed up, and that's it. That's how it
Yeah.
started.
It is, I had the same kind of experience with an immediate shift in physical feeling, palpably different consciousness like that. And I thought, what on earth is going on?
Yeah,
And yeah, a lot of the same kind of, it felt like magic powers to me, really.
it
And
did.
I need to learn this. I had
Hmm.
already been in shaman school at that point in time, and I thought shamanism is great and I love ritual. I really do love that path, but I thought we live in the Western world and people need answers faster and we need to go deeper faster. So I merged the two modalities,
Hmm. Yeah,
which was a
brilliantly.
really
You did
cool
that
thing.
brilliantly. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Really cool thing to do. So, so then you were in Theta Healing. We
Mhm.
met. We solved all the problems of the world during that time. I'm just kidding, everybody. And then when did you start receiving downloads about magnetic heart activation? Because
The
this call is really about magnetic
yeah,
heart
yeah,
activation.
yeah, yeah.
Wanted the
Okay,
background.
we're having too much fun talking. It's we got to get to business. Oh my God. Um, About 9 years after starting activate, after 9 years after starting theta healing, I was literally sitting in a mall in Zagreb, Croatia, having a coffee, waiting for friends to finish shopping in late November, like Christmas shopping. And I was doing some healing work on myself. And I asked a question, well, what do people need to make it easier for them to allow the universe to bring them the changes they want? Which
Hmm.
was a
Good
much
question.
deeper question than I realized at the time.
Well, it's selfless, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it interesting? Yeah. And the little voice in my head that I had learned to listen to and that had us was just ever so subtly different than my own imagination voice that I'd
Hmm.
finally learned to listen to. Hello. Said started giving me this information about magnetic fields of the heart and how they interact with the universe and how this one aspect of the magnetic field of the heart can create an experience of being a victim of the world, as if the world happens to us and that we don't have influence, which, of course, intellectually I knew was incorrect.
Hmm.
But there was a kind of a deeper kind of magnetic resonance biological aspect to it. And the instruction basically that was given is how to ask for that to be changed in a particular way.
Hmm.
And like, oh, okay. And that's,
Now
and that's,
science shows how huge the heart's field is. It's like bigger than any other field in our body, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
They say that, the brain and the heart both create electrical and magnetic fields, but the heart produces a magnetic field 5,000 times stronger than the brain.
Mm-hmm.
So the my opinion is that this magnetic fields that we interact is what we interact the world with the world, and sends messages through these magnetic fields and through our emotions and so on, that causes the world to bring us the kinds of experiences that are in resonance with our own inner matrix of happiness and sorrow and wounds and joy and everything else.
Hmm. I think it's really relevant what you said because maybe some people don't understand. I know I hear a lot of people who are first starting to go up and talk to God or are starting to channel, and they're like, isn't it just the voices in my head? And well, no, because one teacher said, well, why would you hear that? Especially if it's telling you negative things, then that's something else. But
Right.
if you're trying to help someone and get to the answers of something and you're asking the right questions or any questions, and you're
Mhm.
receiving information in your mind, why would you get that information as opposed to any other information? And if you're not, why would you be making that up, especially if it's new information? And it's the same as working with clients. So this is a practice in trust and surrendering to the process and getting out of your own way, really, so that you can receive whatever the information is that's coming through.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure. I mean,
That's a
the
download.
imagination is the mechanism that source can communicate through.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the
Beautiful.
only one, but it's a powerful one.
Yeah. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
what happened next?
So I did this thing to myself and nothing seemed to happen. And then I talked to some of my crazy theta healing friends mostly and said, "Hey, I got this thing, this download. Let me do it to you." And like, "What is it?" "I don't know, but it'll be fun." So I may need to choose different friends because if I just convince them something's fun, they let me do weird things to them. I don't know why. That's crazy.
It's
But
really
anyway,
important, A, that you practice this on yourself, and B, that you practice it on other brave people. I
yes.
had a friend who trusted me for some strange reason to practice all the shamanic energy work when I really
Oh.
was just learning. And she was so good because very emotive and she'd cry and scream. And I was just like, wow, this is fascinating. So you do need trusted people to practice what you're learning
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And this stuff came to me. I didn't figure it out. I didn't design this. I just asked the right question at the right moment and
Mhm.
was ready to be open to actually listen to what the hell was being offered, basically. And it's that simple.
Mhm.
And so I would do it for people, and they would have certain kinds of experiences that was kind of shockingly consistent, actually, which
Yeah.
surprised me.
And can you tell us about some of those?
Yeah, like that first that first version of the activations, or the first part of it, which I got in the mall. People would have basically a pattern of three core kind of experiences. They would have it in different ways, but basically one, new compassion for themselves,
Mhm.
new appreciation for what they've been through, and that they're still standing up and fighting in a positive way, not in a negative way.
Yeah.
And they appreciate what they've been through, and that they're actually pretty cool. That was
That's
a
a
new,
really,
a
sorry
new
to
thing.
interrupt you. That's a
Yeah,
really cool thing to appreciate what you've been through. Like all the rough parts, all of the tough challenges, all of the triggers, all of the heartbreak, all of the upset. When you can suddenly be appreciative of everything that gets you to this perfect place now, you are on the way forward, like really on the
absolutely.
way. That is self-compassion. Yeah,
That was
beautiful.
empower. And everybody wants to be compassionate to others. Well, if you're not compassionate to yourself, then your compassion for others may be, reasonable, but it's not as genuine if you don't have self-compassion. And this is my
That's
opinion. That's all. So
yeah.
that was really
Well,
powerful.
mine too.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we're friends.
Ah.
Um, the second thing, I have to be careful, I don't give you the finger here. The second thing is it was like an emotional detox for many people start to happen. Old sadness or anger or jealousy or whatever that was stuck in the body from things that happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that even if the person had done real work on themselves, this aspect of it just couldn't move. And
Mhm.
people started having these feelings of anger, sadness, jealousy, whatever, start to rise to the surface to be released. And it was like an emotional detox. And I
Wow.
was confused at first. Well, why would that happen? Well, if one moment you're in this state of being that includes the world happens to me, there's nothing I can do about it, I'm a victim, and
Mm.
suddenly, boop, oh, wait a minute, I'm not as much of a victim. I have the ability to choose how I react to things, consciously or subconsciously, and that allows the universe to bring new perspectives. And so,
I think people are very defensive about that victim word. So I just want you to repeat that about the world happening to you.
right,
I really want you to clarify that even more because people are like, I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim
right,
when
yeah.
they're clearly a
Well,
victim
if
because
you're,
they feel like,
please forgive me for saying this, but if you're going, I'm not a victim, well, guess what? You are. Sorry, baby.
yeah,
And anytime we're in that kind of a reactive denial, I get why they would feel that way. I
sure.
100% get it. But at the same time, there's an opportunity there. But
When you're
you,
pointing at everything is out
yes,
there, or
yes,
it's that person, it's that thing, it's that circumstance, then
yeah,
the world is happening to you, and that doesn't give you any sense of
right.
control or ability to take action to
Or
change
safety, the feeling of
or
safety is
safety.
gone. So
Good.
yeah, so there's like this idea that the world happens to us, which causes many of us, myself included, I could be a master victim. Oh, Mr. Self-pity, I was the king.
Oh, we've
And
all been there.
yeah, exactly. Hello. Give yourself a break for crying out loud.
Yeah,
And so this, moving out of the world happens to me to I have influence over what I reflect back to the world and what it therefore reflects back to me. It's like,
yeah,
oh, this is a different story here. And
that's
when that
beautiful.
happens, old sadness, anger, or whatever doesn't have anything to hold on to anymore, some of it, and whoosh. And at first it was confusing to people, like, wait a minute, I just did this spiritual thing and I should be feeling better. Why am I angry? Well, you're angry because you're getting cleaned.
Yeah,
You're
like
angry
you've got
because,
to be in the emotion
yeah,
because a
yeah,
lot of
exactly.
people don't feel safe to feel their emotions because
Hmm.
maybe they were raised in a
Sure.
place that you weren't allowed to express anger or be sad.
Absolutely.
So when things are coming up, when we're in that releasing or transcending process, I like to say
Yeah,
transcending,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
then you have to sit in it. You have to sit through it, go through the tunnel to get to the light on the other side. And that's
Mm,
often uncomfortable.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm. So
So
what was the third,
the third one was some, again, not all. I don't want to kind of build up too much of a starry picture that some of our issues or problems in our life, we get to understand them from a new perspective and they
hmm.
become less of a problem. And
Hmm.
some of those problems get resolved. Again, consciously sometimes, and sometimes unconsciously, they get resolved before you even know they've been resolved.
Hmm.
You know, one lady who was in Norway who had held on to resentment towards her own child because she was a student when she got pregnant and she at first thought she lost her freedom. And then after the activation, she realized, wait a minute, I've been happier the last 10 years of my life than any other part of my life. And I
Wow.
still can do whatever the hell I want. I just experience freedom with a different set of priorities.
So that's really interesting. So that we would call in Theta healing certainly dual beliefs. So
Hmm.
in one level, she was, oh, I'm the happiest I've ever been. Of course, I'm a mother. I'm still free in a
Right.
different way. Yet there was that initial resentment that went in as shock and trauma and that constricted, oh my God, I'm pregnant. I'm going to have to give up my life to have this
Yeah.
baby. And even though it was all great, she was still holding that piece of resentment. That's fascinating. And that would have been a shadow part for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that she started crying in the middle of the activation, and I was wondering, oh my God, what have I done to this poor lady? Until she explained what was going on inside of her.
wow. That's
So
really
there's lots of different
powerful.
kinds of stories like that.
So then you went on. Thank you for sharing. It's a really great example. It's just, oh, I love speaking to you. So then you went on to lead magnetic heart activations to share them with people,
Yeah.
and you called it magnetic heart activation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I started doing it for a small group of my friends, and one or two of the people in the group said, "Hey, I'll get people together. Let's do it." And I went, okay. And just showed up when I was told to show up, and I did it. And there was like 70 people and 100 people and stuff out of nowhere. Like, how did this happen? And yeah, I just started sharing it, and it took on a life of its own.
Hmm. And when did that first level come to you? I know that there's 9 levels now or something, but
Yeah,
that
there's
first level?
nine levels now. That first level came to me about 16 years ago, 15, 16 years ago
Mm-hmm.
in the Garden Mall in Zagreb.
Mm-hmm.
One of my friends says, you shouldn't say it's in the garden. You should have telling people you were sitting in the sacred jungles of Cambodia amongst the temples. Don't say that you were in the
Better
mall.
story.
A better story, yeah, yeah, yeah. Sexy that
But
thing up, Stevie boy.
it is a perfect story. A, that you're sitting in the mall waiting for friends, doing work on yourself. Because when you are in healing, you don't need to be in a sacred place, out in nature, hugging trees, in the church, anywhere. You can be anywhere to
Yes,
do the personal work. It just means going within yourself. And
yes,
so that is really, really relevant. And that's the most sacred place you can be, is right within yourself.
true.
So I think that's a brilliant place to
Yeah,
have all
yeah.
of this wisdom come to you. And so you experienced that first level and
Mhm.
you kept doing that for a while and felt.
Months. I was doing it for months, and then
Mhm.
when I was doing a group of the same thing, I went through the process, and as part of my process is to witness source, creator, whatever you want to call it, do the work and make the changes in a particular way. My job was to ask for the change in a
Over
particular
the
way, and
group.
then just, yeah,
You
for a group.
witnessed happening over the group of people who are
Yes,
receiving.
exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then something else started happening for these two guys that had been coming like 4 or 5 times. They, oh yeah, let's go get the activation again. And everybody else had the normal thing, but something else happened for these two guys. And I'm going, Creator, what is this? This has never happened. Oh, that's the second part. What do you mean the second part? You didn't think there was just one part to this, did you? Uh, yeah. Why didn't you tell me there was more? Well, you didn't ask, did you, Steve? Oh. Sometimes talking with source is really annoying because you have to face your mistakes.
I hear, and I don't know if it's my guides, but I often hear a lot of laughter. And one psychic woman I was seeing, she said, "Oh, they find you very entertaining," because I used to really like to learn everything the hard way, right?
Mhm.
I'd hear a specific message, like new bottle of salad dressing, about to shake it, and I'd hear, check the cap clearly, and new bottle with the cellophane on. I was like, oh, shake it. Salad dressing all over the place in my hair, on the walls, on my
Yeah.
dress. And then I'd hear, ha 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 ha. I just felt like, okay. So you have to ask.
Yeah.
Asking, so many people are like, why am I not manifesting this? Why am I not? I'm like, well, are you asking? Oh. And then are you open to receive, right? There's
Mhm.
levels. You don't just sit on the couch and hope that it's all going to just happen. You got to be actively an active participant in your own process, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So what
100%.
happened with the guys then? Uh,
Well, they didn't know what had happened because I didn't tell them. I was still confused for a little while. Um, but what happened for people when I realized, wait a minute, okay, I've got to give this next part to people also. Um, People would have the experience of an improvement in their intuition. It was really interesting. There was like this buzzing that many, 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 many people have in the back of their head during the session or the following days afterwards. And a lot of people's intuition became noticeably improved.
Wow.
And then there was this feeling of what's the word I'm trying to think of? Um, disorientation in time and space. And it's
Hmm.
like, why this room that I come into every day that I've coming into for 7 years, and every book is still in the same place, and there's nothing changed. Why does it feel different? Well, what I figured out eventually with help from the boss was you get to have this deeper kind of unknowingness, mostly, in my opinion, cellular knowingness of the deeper reality we're in. And this desk that my computer's on is feels solid, and if I smash my hand in it, I'll probably break my hand still. But the real truth of it is that it's photons and information, and
Hmm.
quarks and gluons and whatever.
Yeah.
And at some point, which I'm not at yet, I'll be able to kind of focus and be present in a particular way that'll allow my hand to pass through the desk without breaking myself or the desk.
Yeah.
There's this new kind of deeper recognition of the deeper truth of our reality, time and space. And so it's
Hmm.
disorienting for a few days.
Very interesting. And so, do you think that because the world's in the third dimension and it is rising more up into the fourth dimension and ideally the fifth dimension, so this is raising the vibration and frequency of every person who is receiving it, so that you are getting lighter.
I believe so. Yes. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's one way, and not the only way, but one wonderful way, very unique and unusual way of having exactly that, raising your vibration or having your vibration refined or having things that aren't really of you
Hmm.
begin to fall away so that you become a more and more purer version of yourself, a
Hmm.
more truer, I think I'm using poor English here, more truer um, way of being. And each level, which there are 9 levels now, kind of take you to another part and another part and another part, letting things fall away.
So can you tell us about that? What happens on a magnetic heart activation experience? Because we are I am hosting Steve's magnetic heart activation on December 2nd at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. UK time. If you go on Transformation Talk Revolution Network, ttrnetwork.com. There will be an event posted, magnetic heart activation with the PayPal link, with the Zoom link, with everything. But it will be December 2nd, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. UK time. And you're going to need to allow at least 2 hours, right? It takes
Two and
longer
a
when
half, yeah, two and a half,
two and a
two,
half
two, two
hours,
and a
maybe.
half, yeah.
Yeah, we're not translating it into Croatian this time, so it won't take that long. But so I'm very, very excited to host this for Steve. And so what happened? So like I've had, I think the first 3 levels with you, maybe
Mhm.
4. I don't actually remember. So I come up, I show up, and then how does that work? For somebody who's showing up to have it for the first time, I'm
Mhm.
going to show up to have it for the third or fourth
Fourth,
or fifth time. I don't know. Yeah.
sure.
Okay. How do I know?
Um, the agenda of the evening will be fairly simple. First, I'll talk. I'll talk for about a half hour, maybe less, because we've done a lot of talking on this podcast about what I would normally say and
I would say
explain.
that you talk the whole thing because some people might not have seen
Yeah,
this.
yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll describe what it is basically on a basic level. Give people some possible experiences they might have based on what other people have told me.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, I'll explain that. That'll take whatever amount of time, half hour, 45 minutes, something like that. Then we'll do the process itself. The process will be first, there'll be about 5 to 10 minutes of energetic downloads to kind of have an additional deeper layer of preparations, spiritually, energetically, emotionally, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then it'll be a guided meditation. And I'll give you a guided meditation where you connect to the chair you're sitting on and the building and the city and the country and all the way out to the universe and then up beyond the universe, beyond space and time, blah, 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 eventually to the white light of everything, source, the great I am. And then at the universe and at the great I am, I'll let you sit in silence and be the universe and be the great I am for a minute or two, which is really, really lovely. And then I'll give you some diksha. Some of you may know about diksha. It's the light of bliss. I'm initiated to give this light of bliss to people from many years ago. Originally, the light of bliss wasn't part of the activation. It's not technically part of it. But one day I realized, well, wait a minute, I got all these people. I'll just give them some diksha too. Why not? It doesn't cost anything. And
Yeah.
so I give them some diksha.
Tell us a little bit more about that diksha. Where does that come from? And
I'm
does
initiated
that
by a
involve?
female Indian guru named Sai Ma. Everybody can learn how to get diksha online now for free. Um, and it's basically like Shaktipat. I don't know how
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
basically kind of like a it's like light filling the brain to kind of awaken the brain and the nervous system, and it's its own kind of self awakening energy process.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So so I'll take a few minutes and give the group diksha. Then we start the activations. And then I'll say, okay, we're beginning the first part of the activation. Everybody gets it, including you, who's getting the 3 or 4, or number 3 or 5 or whatever. You get all of the levels again up to the level you're here for.
Even
And
if I don't know what that is.
even if you don't know what it is, we'll figure it out. Yeah, you and I will figure it out. It's no problems. And I'll say something like, okay, we're beginning level 1 of the activation, starting now. And then I like to make a joke, and the first big miracle of the night happens. Steve actually shuts up for a couple of minutes. So, I be quiet. I do the process. I witness the creative energy doing this for everybody, and say, okay, level 1 is complete. And they go, okay, for you guys that are getting the second level or more, we begin level 2 and do the same thing. In that
But
case,
people who are there for the first level will hear all of
oh
this,
yeah, yeah,
but
you'll
they
hear
won't
it.
receive it.
You won't receive the other levels. You may feel a different, and this is quite normal actually. You may feel a difference in the energy as we go through each level, because each level has its own kind of frequency and vibration and intention, and so it feels different. So
Mm-hmm.
those people that are here for the first time, they might feel that, which just
Mm-hmm.
means they're super cool and energy sensitive. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
They won't get the rest of the levels, even if they're in the room with us, just because it's not good. You need the voice in my head tells me to make people wait roughly about a month, give or take, between each piece of the activations to give them a
Mm-hmm.
chance, their bodies, their mind, everything to settle into the new normal and to be ready for the next one because it's such deep, deep work.
So how long do the activations take?
The process itself takes, depending on if, about a half hour to 40 minutes, sometimes
Okay.
a little less. I suspect it'll be less with you guys simply because of lack of translation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
And then I let you sit in silence for a couple minutes and then I bring you back gently and let everybody have a short break. And then we do the final piece, which is another activation that's separate from magnetic heart activation. It's called the cellular light body activation.
That sounds good.
And this is a variation of most of the mystery schools all over the world used to have, and some still do have, the light body activation where they take a Merkaba and two kind of interlocking pyramids and spin them in opposite directions through
Mm-hmm.
meditation and intention and turn on the fifth dimensional light body or whatever the light body is. and
Mm-hmm.
kind of bring everybody up into that higher vibration. And so I learned a couple of versions of this over the years, and I started doing it for people. And then something interesting happens, that little voice that's so helpful comes into my head while I'm meditating one morning and says, "Okay, you're going to do it different," because I was
Okay.
going to do it the next day for a group. And it's like, instead of doing the activation for the whole body, you're going to do it for each individual cell of the body, the
Oh,
cell, the
cool.
cell, and the cell, and the cell, and the cell. And each cell will have its own little Merkaba.
Ooh, I'm
And
getting my left side chills about that. That's oh, I'm very excited about that.
yeah,
Okay.
and help the cell remember it's made of light.
Yeah.
And that's it. But it's much simpler than the other one.
You're
But
like, oh, and that's it.
yeah,
Your
la
life
la
is
la la
going to
la la la
radically change in 2.5 hours. That's
la la
it.
la. Exactly. So we'll do
Wow.
that as the final piece.
That's amazing. So I'm sitting here thinking about students I've had when I've taken them up to connect to the white I am space, and they're like, I can't visualize. What if I can't feel? All the people who are in the I can't mode.
Doesn't matter. I'm going to guide you to visualize things, but I'm not expecting you, you're not doing the work. I'm doing that so your brain has something to do.
Okay, good.
That's it.
Okay.
And you'll allow yourself, by doing that and participating in the visualization, whether you think you're doing it right or not, it just gives your brain permission to let something happen, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So you can fall asleep in the middle of this and it still works.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, you
That's
can fall
amazing.
asleep and start to snore and it still works. We'll make fun of you, but it'll still work.
And if you're next to me, I'll go, shut up.
Smack. Yeah.
Smack. It's the hand
So
of God smacking
yeah,
you.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. God did it. Yeah. Ha 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 ha.
Well, it sounds absolutely amazing. So why don't we have some downloads right now? This is what
Hmm.
I like to do at the end of every show so that you can all have this feeling of receiving a download. And put your feet flat on the floor so your legs aren't crossed. If you need a little sip of water, now is a really good time to have one. And just be open to receive. You can put your palms up, facing up, and then just lower them down so they're resting on your table or your legs so you're not just hovering there in the air, and be
Hmm.
comfortable. And I'm going to say what the download is. And if you're open to receive that, just say out loud, yes. Okay, so here we go. I know what it feels like to receive.
Beautiful.
I know it's possible to be free from having to be the victim. I know I am worthy of God's love. It's safe for me to receive an activation. Oh, there's a lot of energy processing there. I yawn a lot when energy is moving. I'm yawning a lot here.
Yeah.
So, these are the types of downloads that you would be starting your evening with to clear people and prepare people for what they're about to receive.
Yeah. Stuff like that, and with a particular kind of intention. But yes,
Yeah.
we do exactly the same thing.
hmm So, Steve, it's just been absolutely fabulous speaking with you. But if you have a closing message, like if anybody was going to take away one
Hmm.
thing from this fascinating conversation, what would you like them to go home with?
I would like them to go home with the idea that because you guys do the work you do, whether even if it's just everybody in your audience, even if it's just sitting in silent meditation for 5 minutes a day, it can be that little. You are having an effect on the whole mass consciousness of humanity. As you allow yourself to kind of have that refinement of your own consciousness, as you allow yourself to let go of old wounds and traumas and whatever, you become a greater version of yourself. And you are contributing to humanity even more than you would if you attended 100 protests to something.
Wow.
You are the tip of the spear of humanity in terms of refining consciousness so we can go into this next age, this 1,000-year golden age that's supposed to be coming. You're responsible for it, no matter how little you think of yourself, because you do the work.
That's beautiful. And that really is true. And everything starts here first. Like that book that you read about selfishness, about making yourself happy first. Because if you don't love yourself fully first, you're not really fully available to love anybody else fully. So all of the work starts here. It's like recycling. It's better to recycle one plastic bottle than no plastic bottles. Okay.
Yeah,
Every little bit helps, right?
exactly.
So let's go over this magnetic heart activation that we're offering, this totally awesome experience to you on December 2nd at 10 a.m. Pacific time and 6 p.m. UK time. And the Zoom link is my Zoom, and that's going to be listed under this show. When we post it on our social media, we'll put the Zoom link that is where you show up and come a little bit, a couple minutes early. Please be on time. And you can sign up via the PayPal link. That is going to be another link. And you can find both of those on my website, shannonbtb.com or shannonoflaherty.com. And it's also going to be available as an event on the TT Revelation Network and on my profile page on the TTR network about this show, and also on Steve's website. Is that correct?
Yes, I got to get that going, and we're making some new website stuff, but it should be there too.
Okay. And I think the charge for this time is going to be 89 euros, which is a special first time rate for my audience, saving you all about 15 euros. That works out to about $104 or about 79 pounds. And just pay on the PayPal link. That's how you sign up. If you have any questions, please contact Steve. Just say what your contact detail is, Steve. Your email,
My email is yourdivinity@gmail.com.
yourdivinity@gmail.com, or any questions you can write into the show, and one of us will get back to you very soon. So it's just been so great. Thank you so much, Steve, for being with
My,
us, and I
my
can't wait to
incredible
see you
pleasure.
on
You're just
December
the
2nd.
best.
Lots of love. Bye, everybody.
Ciao, guys.
You have been listening to Beyond Birth Trauma, From Burden to Brilliance with Shannon O'Flaherty on Transformation Talk Radio. On the second Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, we connect the dots between your ancestors, your birth, and the patterns that keep you stuck, guiding you to a place of profound healing and unstoppable brilliance. By examining and healing your cellular imprint from birth of how you perceive and respond to the world and the challenges that are created in your day-to-day life, we can begin to heal and live more balanced and fulfilling lives. For more information, visit shannonbtb.com. That's shannonbtb.com.